So what if I told you that I was in 3 places at once? Would you believe me? Would you signal the TED organizers to get me off stage because clearly I might be a crazy person? Or would you want to know how I do it? I'm going to get to that momentarily. So by show of hands, by chance, does anybody know what a flashback is? Show of hands. Okay, a couple people in the audience. That's great. That's really useless information. Because the thing about flashbacks is you can't change your past to affect your future. You can learn from it, but you can't change it. However, there is a postmodern narrative device called prolepsis, which is more commonly known as the flash forward. And we experience it in our everyday lives. We have people that we interact with on a regular basis, and they are the bane of our existence from time to time. The people that we work with from time to time, the people that we are in class with from time to time, maybe our own family members. And they seek to make our lives difficult. They just do. And I'm sure we've imagined like those conversations with them, and you think, what if I just hit this person in the face right now? How would that feel? And you imagine yourself doing it, you close your eyes and you see it happening and you feel that release and that pleasure, and then you realize that you're just balling your fist up and nothing has happened. You've made good decisions and you're not indicted. You have a job, it's beautiful, life is great. Or maybe you're at Starbucks and you see a beautiful young lady, or maybe a handsome young man. And you think to yourself, you know what? I want to engage in conversation with this person. So you think about it and you stand up and you walk across and you're speaking and she's engaged or he's engaged and you feel like, wow, this is magical. Then you realize that you're only engaging with your cup of coffee. We do this on a very regular basis because we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of what's going to happen next. We think about the repercussions of our actions. But what I want to do today is I want to reframe that. I don't want you to look at repercussions. I want you to see potential opportunities. I want you to look at the host of negative situations and instead reframe them as the host of positive outcomes. Now, I believe that the whole concept of the flash forward is a good means of indicating how parallel universes may exist. That instead of us actually just thinking about the situation and imagining the situation, it happens, it occurs. We live with our consequences, but on another plane of reality. So now, there's Rhondel Whyte in Trinidad and Tobago. So I was born on the island of Trinidad and Tobago with roughly about 1.4 million people. If you guys, to put it in perspective for you, the Hillsborough County is 1.3 million people, which that's like 0.4% of the US population. And the US population is 5% of the world. So to be frank, ladies and gentlemen, I live on a dot in the middle of the ocean. It's one of those things. But I've been given the opportunity to either go to the United States and get an education or stay at home and get an education. Now, through a series of really good decisions, that's my home, by the way, just in case you don't know, I was able, in another reality, obviously, to become the youngest prime minister in that nation's history. And of course, he's really bad at Photoshop. Now, with that in mind, right, it would be wonderful if I could live this reality. That would be beautiful. However, I wouldn't have the auspicious, occasion to be able to speak before a wonderful crowd such as yourself. And I'm thankful for that. My USF experience has been spectacular. It really has been one of the best things ever to me. So I've experienced a number of things, from meeting members of government to joining a fraternity to meeting great people, making great conversations, studying Chinese, being an ambassador for a school, and just having a USF experience. It has really been one of those really great, life-changing type deals. However, while I was studying Mandarin Chinese, there was a young exchange student who approached me and he had a conversation with me and he told me, I like your linguistic abilities. I like how you interact with people. Let's go to China and be enterprising. I didn't know what that meant until he told me that he wanted me to get into the methamphetamine business with him. Now, that does sound like a stretch, and I know there's a lot of tension in the room, but I promise you I didn't make those decisions, or I wouldn't be here today. Even though I did have the opportunity to become, the Walter White of Trinidad, Again, still pretty bad at Photoshop. However, looking at all these different realities, it really paints that picture that we can create whatever we want to create. We are who we are because of our decisions. But there's a scientific component to this, I promise you. So Schrodinger's cat experiment basically says that if you place a cat in an opaque sealed box with a poisonous substance, the cat is in a place of quantum superpositioning, in that it's both alive and dead at the exact same time because we can't see the state of the cat. But when we open the box, then we're able to tell if the cat is either alive or if the cat is dead. In essence, our curiosity kills the cat. But what's beautiful about that is we too are subject to those quantum laws. At least I'd like to hope so. Because either we look into the box and it's alive, or we look into the box and it's dead. So then now the question is, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I often think about the poem Invictus. There's a line in the poem that says that we are truly the masters of our fates and the captains of our souls. I want you to take a moment right now and just visualize. Visualize a moment in your life where if you made a different decision, your life would be fundamentally different. Just take a moment and think about it. Maybe you chose a different major. Maybe you chose to go to a different city. Maybe you chose to take a different job. Maybe you chose to speak to a different person and that's now your spouse. Maybe you made all these different decisions. Your life would be forever altered. So now, allow me to refresh your perspective on everything. When we were actually in the TED orientation, we were told that if our speeches were great, it would be put on the national website, and I was like, that's exciting, that's awesome, right? So then I think to myself, there are two versions of myself in the very near future. One that succeeds, and one that fails. It's really black and white, but hey, it works. So with that being in mind, I could think of the words of O.G. Mandino in that if my determination, my will is strong enough, then I can succeed at anything that I put my mind to. And so can you. And I know you're thinking to yourself, Rhonda, we can't control everything around us. That's impossible. It doesn't make sense. And you're right, we can't control everything. But what we can control is ourselves. We can make those decisions. So the next time you see a beautiful young lady or a charming young man and you want to have that conversation, engage with them. Go out and do it. If you see an opportunity coming at you, prepare for it to the best of your capacities and seize it, because that may be your future career. And if there's something in your life that has you dissatisfied, then go out and change it, because there's a version of yourself living that life. So what does TED stand for? Technology, entertainment, and design. So I'm hoping that I use this technology well to break down a complicated process and made it really simple. I hope that you were somewhat entertained, somewhat. And I hope that with this idea, you can truly go out and design your future. Thank you, friends.